American folklore is often dismissed as exaggeration, campfire stories, local legends, misidentifications stretched over time, and in many cases, that explanation is probably correct. But there are a handful of encounters that were not whispered in private. They were reported to police, covered in newspapers, investigated by authorities, witnessed by entire communities. Shots were fired, search parties formed, officers documented the scene. These were not anonymous internet posts, these were recorded events. Tonight, we are not exploring myths. We are revisiting 5 documented American folklore encounters that actually happened. Lock your doors, put your headphones on, pull your blanket tight, because sometimes folklore doesn't begin as a story. It begins as a report. The Van Meter Visitor. In September 1903, residents of Van Meter, Iowa, began reporting something unusual moving through the town at night. This was not a single witness. It started with a local businessman, Griffin, who claimed he saw a large winged creature perched atop a building. He described it as having bat-like wings, a horn or projection on its forehead, and something far more disturbing, a light. Witnesses claimed the creature emitted a bright beam of light from the horn-like structure on its head. Not reflected light, not lantern light, but light projecting outward. Believing it to be a prankster, Griffin retrieved a rifle and fired. The creature did not fall. It reportedly flew upward, circling above the town before disappearing. Over the next several nights, multiple residents reported similar sightings. The creature was seen near the town bank, perched on rooftops, standing upright at the edge of streets. The Des Moines Daily News documented the reports. Armed townsmen formed a group. They patrolled the streets at night. When the creature was sighted again near an abandoned coal mine, several men fired directly at it. Witnesses claimed it retreated into the mine shaft. The group followed at a distance. They reported hearing strange sounds from within, but none entered deeply. The following morning, townspeople claimed the mine entrance had partially collapsed. No creature was recovered. No physical remains found. Newspaper coverage eventually faded. Officials offered no biological explanation. Likely misidentification. Mass excitement. Nothing there. But for several nights, an entire town mobilized. Armed patrols. Documented sightings. Newspaper reports. If it were a single witness, the story would be easy to dismiss. But this involved multiple residents across consecutive nights. The description remained consistent. Winged, large, light emitting from its head, and retreating into a mine that was never fully explored afterward. More than a century later, the Van Meter visitor remains officially unexplained, and that was only the beginning. The next case did not involve wings. It involved claw marks on cars and police involvement. The Lake Worth Monster. In the summer of 1969, something began appearing along the shores of Lake Worth, just outside Fort Worth, Texas. It did not start as folklore, it started as police reports. On July 10th, a couple parked near a remote area of the lake claimed a large creature leapt onto the hood of their car. They described it as approximately 7 feet tall, covered in hair, with glowing eyes. The man reported that it attempted to overturn the vehicle. He accelerated away. Later that same night, another couple reported something striking their car and throwing a tire at it. Police responded to multiple calls. Officers searched the wooded area. They found no suspect, no confirmed animal, but the Fort Worth Star-Telegram began publishing daily updates on the sightings. Witness descriptions remained strikingly similar. Large, man-like, hair-covered, long arms, clawed hands. Unlike many folklore cases, this one escalated rapidly. Crowds gathered at the lake hoping to see the creature. Armed civilians conducted night searches. Police increased patrol presence around the shoreline. Then something physical happened. A car was reportedly damaged by what the owner claimed were claw marks. Photographs were taken. Officers examined the vehicle. They could not conclusively attribute the damage to any known animal. The creature was nicknamed the Lake Worth Monster. But what separates this case from simple legend is documentation. Police logs exist. Newspaper archives remain. Named officers gave interviews. One patrolman admitted to seeing something moving upright in the brush. He described it as too tall to be a dog, too narrow to be a bear. But no capture followed, no body, no confirmed species. Authorities eventually suggested prank activity, possible hoaxes, mass excitement. Nothing there. And yet, for weeks, patrol presence remained elevated. The area gained national attention. Sightings slowed only after summer ended. If it was a prankster, why did multiple witnesses report similar size and posture? If it was wildlife, why upright movement consistently described? And if it was nothing, why did police dedicate repeated search operations? Unlike internet legends, this unfolded in real time, with law enforcement involvement, with physical damage reported, with media coverage across multiple days. The official conclusion settled into ambiguity. Unverified creature, likely hoax, case closed, but not explained. 2 documented cases now, 2 communities mobilized. Shots fired in Iowa. Police searches in Texas. The next case was different. It did not happen in open fields or lakes. It involved physical evidence on vehicles, multiple deputies, and something seen repeatedly in South Carolina. The Bishopville Lizard Man. In June 1988, 17-year-old Christopher Davis was driving home late at night near Scapaw Swamp, just outside Bishopville, South Carolina. Around 2 in the morning, he experienced a flat tire. He pulled over on a dark stretch of road surrounded by swamp and forest. As he inspected the vehicle, he later reported hearing heavy footsteps running toward him from the darkness. Not rustling, not light movement, heavy. When he turned, he claimed he saw a creature approximately 7 feet tall, greenish skin, large red eyes, 3 fingers on each hand, clawed. The creature reportedly grabbed the side mirror of his car. Davis jumped back inside. As he accelerated away, he claimed the creature leapt onto the roof. He described hearing scratching and banging as he drove. When he reached safety, he discovered visible damage, deep scratches across the roof, side mirror partially damaged. The Lee County Sheriff's Office investigated. Deputies examined the vehicle. They could not conclusively determine what caused the damage. Plaster casts were later made of large 3-toed footprints found in muddy areas near the swamp. The footprints measured approximately 14 inches in length. Unlike common animal tracks, unlike human boot impressions, the sightings did not stop there. Over the following weeks, multiple residents reported seeing a large bipedal reptilian figure near the swamp. Farm animals were found disturbed. Drivers reported something crossing the road upright. Sheriff Liston Truesdale publicly addressed the situation. He acknowledged the reports, but emphasized there was no confirmed evidence of a dangerous animal. Nothing there. Yet deputies continued patrols in the area. Road presence increased at night. The swamp gained national attention. Media from across the country covered the case. Wildlife officials suggested possible bear misidentification. But bears do not leave 3-toed tracks. They do not consistently walk upright for extended periods. They do not leap onto moving vehicles. The Bishopville creature became known as the Lizard Man, but this was not a century-old legend. It unfolded over weeks in 1988, with deputies, with footprint casts, with vehicle damage, and with a named primary witness whose vehicle was physically altered. Eventually, sightings slowed. The sheriff's department reduced patrols. No capture, no biological confirmation, officially unresolved. 3 cases now. 3 different states, 3 different decades. The Pascagoula River Encounter. On October 11, 1973, Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing along the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. It was early evening, quiet, industrial shipyard lights in the distance. Nothing unusual. Then they heard a sound, a faint whirring noise, not like an engine, not like wind. They claimed a bright object appeared nearby, oval-shaped, emitting a soft light. According to their report, 3 humanoid figures emerged, approximately 5 feet tall, gray skin, wrinkled texture, no visible neck, claw-like hands. They described the beings as moving stiffly, almost mechanical. Hickson later stated that one of the entities grabbed him. He claimed both men were taken aboard the object briefly, examined, then released. Shaken, the 2 men went directly to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. They filed an official report. Deputies initially suspected a hoax. The story sounded extraordinary, too extraordinary. So officers did something critical. They left Hickson and Parker alone in an interrogation room, secretly recording the conversation. What they expected to capture was admission of fabrication. Instead, the tape revealed something else. Both men spoke in low, distressed voices. Parker was audibly trembling. Hickson repeated that he wished he had never experienced it. There was no laughter, no joking, no indication of rehearsal. The recording was later released publicly. It still exists. Sheriff Fred Diamond publicly stated that he believed the men experienced something. Not necessarily extraterrestrial, but something real to them. There was no official conclusion of alien involvement, no confirmed physical evidence, no recovered craft, nothing there. But the audio changed the tone of the case, because regardless of what actually occurred, the distress was genuine. The fear was recorded, under no performance pressure, under no public spotlight. And it remains one of the few cases where law enforcement unintentionally documented the emotional aftermath of an encounter. Years later, both men maintained their story. Hickson passed away in 2011. Parker continued to speak publicly about the event. Officials never validated extraterrestrial claims, but they also never exposed the men as frauds. The case remains officially unexplained. 4 documented encounters, 4 different decades, 4 different states, 4 different forms: winged, hair-covered, reptilian, mechanical humanoid, each investigated, each reduced to uncertainty. And the final case is the oldest of them all, spanning decades, with photographs, multiple reports, and something said to move beneath the surface of a river. The White River Monster. The first major wave of sightings began in 1915, along the White River in Arkansas. Residents reported something enormous moving beneath the water. Not a fish, not a known aquatic animal, something larger. Farmers claimed livestock avoided the riverbanks. Fishermen described a massive shape surfacing briefly before submerging again. Newspapers across Arkansas covered the story. Witnesses described the creature as pale, long, with a broad back breaking the surface. Some claimed to see horn-like projections. Others described a catfish-like mouth, but nearly every account agreed on one detail: its size, too large for known native species. The Arkansas Gazette reported that crowds gathered along the river hoping to see it. Some fired rifles into the water. No body surfaced. Wildlife officials suggested oversized sturgeon, but sturgeon populations in that stretch of river were limited, and no confirmed specimen matching the size described was ever captured. The story faded until 1971. More than 50 years later, another wave of sightings erupted in the same region. This time, photographs were taken. One image published showed a large, pale object breaking the surface of the river, blurry, indistinct, but undeniably present. Again, crowds gathered. Again, search efforts began. Divers entered portions of the river. Nothing recovered. The Arkansas state legislature even passed a resolution protecting the creature from harm, declaring it a natural treasure if it existed. Officials never confirmed a new species. No scientific classification. No body, nothing there. But the pattern is what makes this case unique. Sightings separated by more than half a century, in the same waterway, with similar descriptions: large, pale, surfacing briefly, then disappearing. Unlike humanoid encounters, this creature did not approach houses, did not stand under lights. It moved beneath opaque water, seen only in moments. If it were misidentification, why repeat across generations? If it were a known species, why no confirmed capture after a century? And if it were nothing, why pass protective legislation? The Flatwoods Monster. On September 12, 1952, several boys playing in a schoolyard in Flatwoods, West Virginia, saw something streak across the sky. It wasn't subtle, it was bright. Descending, they believed it crashed on a nearby hill. The boys ran home and returned with a local mother, Kathleen May. Also present was Eugene Lemon, a member of the West Virginia National Guard. This was not a single frightened child. It was a small group. Armed with flashlights, they climbed toward the landing site. What they found was not wreckage. It was something standing in the dark. They described it as over 10 feet tall, with a glowing face, a dark hooded shape surrounding its head, arms that did not move normally, and a strong sulfur-like odor in the air. Eugene Lemon later stated that when his flashlight beam hit the figure, it emitted a hissing sound and floated or glided toward them. The group fled, screaming. Police were contacted. Local authorities investigated the hill. No body was recovered, no craft was found. But something else happened. Several of the witnesses became physically ill, nausea, vomiting, throat irritation, burning eyes. A local doctor examined Kathleen May and confirmed symptoms consistent with exposure to an irritant gas. The story was covered by the Braxton Democrat and other West Virginia newspapers. Officials suggested a meteor sighting, possibly an owl misidentified in the dark. But owls do not cause multiple people to develop respiratory symptoms hours later. The landing site reportedly emitted a misty residue. Grass in the area was said to be flattened. National media eventually labeled it hysteria, misidentification, nothing there. But the witnesses never changed their accounts. And one detail separates this from typical folklore: the involvement of a National Guardsman, a medical exam, and documented physical symptoms. No proof of extraterrestrial origin, no biological specimen, nothing officially confirmed, but something was seen, something was reported, and something made multiple people sick. Unlike many modern claims, this one happened in 1952, before internet, before viral hoaxes, before UFO culture dominated headlines. And it was documented in real time. 6 cases now, 6 states. More than 70 years of reports, police logs, newspaper archives, medical evaluation, armed patrols, recorded interrogation tapes, none proven, none fully explained, each reduced to uncertainty, each labeled misidentification, each summarized the same way. Nothing there. 5 cases, 5 states, more than 70 years of documented reports, newspaper archives, police involvement, official investigations, not internet rumors, not anonymous posts, recorded history, none conclusively proven, none conclusively disproven, each reduced to uncertainty, each labeled misidentification, each summarized the same way, nothing there. And yet the reports were real, the patrols were real, the interviews were real, the fear was real. 5 encounters, 5 different states, over 70 years of reports, police files, newspaper archives, recorded interviews, photographs, none confirmed, none fully explained. Maybe every case has a rational answer: misidentification, hoax, distortion. But these were not whispered legends, they were documented events. So the question isn't whether folklore exists, it's why certain reports never completely disappear. Comment your position clearly, unsolved, or simply misunderstood.